Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you.
Good morning. You are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz, K-Squid 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org. I am Catherine Bell, and this is The Dream Journal, a weekly show where we explore the healing powers of your nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with you. In the words of Carl Jung, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Today, we are speaking with certified projective dreamworker Phoebe Evans. On her dream journey of over 40 years, Phoebe has found that dreams have unraveled thorny emotional issues for her, such as accepting her own anger. Have you had dreams that have helped you to work out difficult emotions? We'll talk about this today and also about the power of dream groups. This is Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. I'd like to remind you that the views and opinions expressed in this program do not necessarily represent those of Natural Bridges Media or of KSQD's staff, volunteers, or underwriters. Please check out the Dream Journal podcast. Look for it, review it, subscribe, and tell a friend. The Dream Journal is available on all of your major podcast platforms. So, starting with my personal dream work, I find that I've been having a lot of very difficult dreams lately. You know, I like to say to folks, oh, you had a nightmare, lovely, because there is something powerful about having nightmares, but they're also very uncomfortable. So it's just something that I'm really sitting with, and I think there's something about my my cortisol levels just being really high. Like I'm noticing I'm very jumpy. Somebody drops something, I'm likely to jump out of my skin, and I just feel kind of rattled. And it's definitely showing up in my dreams. So a friend sent me a article, which I found very interesting last night, that I want to share with you. They talked about the balance between cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and oxytocin, which is, they call it the love hormone. And oxytocin is something that's generated when you're with a loved one, especially with skin-to-skin contact. And it's something we are been pretty short of lately. I see friends on Zoom, but I don't get to have that mammal sense of being in their presence. And even when I do see people we keep our 6-foot distance and are wearing our masks and all that. And I think there's something that's just not very satisfying to my mammal self. So I'm kind of holding the space of being really tender with who I am right now and trying to notice self-talk, that when I have a voice in my head, we all have voices in our heads, often we can be much crueler to ourselves than we ever would be to anybody in the outside world. So I'm being tender and noticing those voices, even those voices that say, I have no reason to be stressed. Why should I be upset? And that's kind of a mean voice, even that. So just noticing, take a breath right now. Yeah, just noticing that I am stressed. I am anxious, and maybe that's just where I'm at. And I wish I wasn't, but I am. And so just starting with what is a very powerful thing. And of course, being close to any loved ones that you have within reach, anyone who are part of your quarantine, as they say. Get some extra cuddles today, even pets, whatever you can do. This article even recommended hugging yourself, and that your system would interpret hugging yourself as a contact, as a way to be with a loved one. So I will be inviting call-ins during the last segment of the show today. So get your questions ready and queue up your phone to 831-900-5773. You could ask a question or share a dream with us. That number again is 831-900-5773. And we will be opening up the phone lines in a little over half an hour. So I want to welcome today Phoebe Evans. Hello, Phoebe.
Hi, Catherine.
Thanks for calling. I'm so glad to have you on the show, for sure.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be fun.
Right, absolutely. So Phoebe is a dream worker certified by the Marin Institute for Projective Dreamwork in 2008. She studied intensively with dream pioneer Jeremy Taylor between 1995 and his death in 2018, and has been working with dreams for over 40 years. Phoebe is an artist creating one-of-a-kind jewelry and paintings, and operates Phoebe's Fine Jewelry and Art in Capitola Village. We'll speak about the power of dream groups and the projective method, and also about how dreams guided Phoebe through her evolving relationship to her anger. So Phoebe, Phoebe's a dear friend of mine. She's been in one of my groups and also just a friend for quite a few years, and I've been wanting to get you on the show for quite a while, so I'm glad we finally found a way to get you on the show.
Yeah.
So you studied with Jeremy Taylor for quite a while. I always describe Jeremy Taylor as the Johnny Appleseed of dream groups. That he wrote books about how to do your own dream group, and it inspired me and many others to start their own group, which I've found was an amazing way of beginning to work with my dreams. How did you first get it? Well, I guess let's start with your own interest in your own dreams, even before you heard about Jeremy Taylor, or were those things combined?
Yeah, it was kind of all in one. My father was a great reader and always interested in his dreams. And it's funny, I would tell Jeremy that when I was 6 years old, my father always had Carl Jung books all around the house, and I would look at the ones with pictures and be kind of fascinated and mystified by what all that was all about.
Right.
And then my father lent me, when I was a young teenager, one of Jeremy's books. And then I was really hooked on dreams, and Jeremy in particular. I had remembered dreams since I was a child and always been interested in them.
Yeah, okay. So what is it about dreams that speaks to you?
Well, now, at this age, I find that they really are the best tool for self-growth and change that I've ever found. Right.
I
don't suppose that's what grabbed me when I was, 4 or 8, 14, or, but somehow they were always very fascinating, very magical, I think. I was always, when I was a little girl, hoping maybe to find a talking animal or a fairy or a something that would prove that the world was more interesting than it seemed on the surface.
Right.
And dreams were magical to me.
Right.
Definitely.
Well, you can definitely find talking animals and fairies in dreams, so that's for sure.
Right. I never did find one on the school playground or anything, like I was hoping, but there it was in dreams. Yeah.
Well, why don't we talk about groups? Like, what is it about groups and about sharing dreams in a groups that is so helpful? Because I've certainly had that experience of finding group work very helpful, and that's one thing Jeremy Taylor was extremely passionate about, and I know you as well are very passionate about dream groups.
Yeah. Jeremy was wonderful, and he never denigrated solo dream work. There's a lot of value in solo dream work, but he would say we are uniquely and selectively blind to our own problems. And in a group, other people can get around that blind spot. And so we get the ahas that we wouldn't perhaps get in solo dream work.
Right. Well, there's definitely something about my own life that I'm accustomed to seeing things the way I'm accustomed to seeing them, and it can be very hard to break out of those patterns, but getting feedback from somebody else, because they say I'm passionate about dream groups as well, that there's something about getting a different perspective that can be very illuminating and helpful.
I think the sense of community is really important, too, especially for people who are activists in the really broad sense of the word. You really get a sense in a dream group that's really working that we are dreaming humanity forward, much more than you get with solo dream work.
Right, and I understand that Jeremy started his work in groups. He started to see that a lot of reconciliation, like between races, was really possible, specifically through dreams. Yeah. There was the other quote. I think it's Marsha Hudson that shares this quote that dreams are the workshop of evolution.
Yeah. That's really beautiful.
Yeah. So one of the hallmarks of the projective approach, which is, I believe it was Montague Ullman who began this method, but then Jeremy Taylor refined and distributed the method of the if it were my dream approach. That there's really something very tender about dreams, and they're so incredibly personal that it can be actually harmful to tell somebody your dream means X. You know, it can. It's a kind of violence in a way. It's like a really control of like your dream means bah. But instead, that famous phrase that you hear so much on this show, if it were my dream, then the dreamer gets to see what's there for them. Right.
That you form comes to sound very accusatory.
Yeah.
And it can sound that way. Also, it's such a good tool for diplomacy. Jeremy worked with men in prisons, and he worked with the Catholic Church with priests that were in some sort of recovery program for being caught as pedophiles. And he would hear their dreams, and you can't just say, oh, this dream means that you're a pedophile. You can't reach that person with that form.
Yeah.
You have to say, if this were my dream, it would mean that I am a pedophile. To open yourself up to that is the act of courage that then lets the other person open up as well.
Right. And there's something for me that when I say that to somebody else, like if it were my dream, it might mean this, then I really let in the possibility that I have that in me as well. And so the dream that we're sharing in a group, it kind of becomes a communal dream, and that I can have those parts of myself that, maybe I was never something as extreme as a pedophile, but there's maybe something that I've seen that's in that direction, like that then allows me to have much greater compassion for the dreamer as well.
Yeah, the Nazi is a very popular, common dream theme. And one of my dreams I wanted to talk about today has Dick Cheney in it. I had to accept that I have an inner Dick Cheney.
Why don't you say more about what Dick Cheney is to you and how uncomfortable that would be to have a Dick Cheney? Is this okay to go ahead and start in some of these dreams? I know that you have several dreams that you wanted to share today, and we'll probably share one or two now, and then take a break, and then we'll come back and share the rest. Is that okay, Phoebe? We ready to jump in?
Sure. The first two, there's four, so the first two, and then the second two later, if you like.
Sure.
Okay. The first one is one of the most important dreams of my life, and just a tiny, tiny fragment. And so don't ignore those fragments. They are concentrated. They are important. So in 1999, I had just been diagnosed with a throat condition that they told me could be precancerous. And that night, I dreamt that a giant bumblebee, big fuzzy, about 2 inches in diameter, flew in my open mouth and got stuck in my throat. And buzzed there like an angry bee.
Yeah.
And when I woke up, I knew, I had a big aha, that I had been swallowing my anger all my life.
So the bee was like caught in your throat, like that was somehow the anger.
And this condition was such that now I couldn't swallow food, hardly.
So it had manifested on the physical plane in some degree? Is That actually kind of an extreme degree, so that you had to seek medical attention for it.
Yeah, yeah. And so I decided to save my own life that I needed to start expressing my anger. And I decided what would help me is if I could express it to the right person at the right time in the right degree. Mm-hmm. And if I could be very, very controlled about it, I could start. So I started to have dreams about these two figures that I called the wimp and the bitch. Mm-hmm. And they were obviously battling it out because I felt that unless I were a nice girl all the time, no one would ever love me. Mm. I didn't want to be the bitch because no one would love me.
Right. Mm.
And so one of the dreams in this series with the wimp and the bitch was Dick Cheney.
Oh, huh.
And he had a very small, very timid woman that he locked in a closet and tortured. Mm. And I had to, say to myself, and so that would have been about 2005 or something like that, this dream. Mm-hmm. So I've been working on these issues all over these years, but that was a big turning point, recognizing that not only did I have an inner Dick Cheney, but his ruthlessness, that's the word I came up with, that really resonated with me. His ruthlessness was an energy that I could use. Mm. That was something that could help me be stronger in my fight in trying to figure out how to transcend the paradox of the wimp and the bitch.
Oh, and so, but in the dream, he was keeping this. I guess the other character would be the wimp character. Was that right? Keeping her locked up.
Yeah.
So that's actually kind of a painful image of how this ruthlessness was being directed against yourself. Is that one way to describe what you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I was fighting with myself.
Right.
Torturing myself.
That happens a lot. I mean, that we really beat ourselves up, like I was saying during my check-in, that there's a way that we can be really mean to ourselves in a way we never would be to anyone outside, even our worst enemies. We can be much meaner to ourselves sometimes.
Well, I think that's the purpose of having children in dreams, too.
Oh, say more about that.
That if you have a child in your dream, you can feel compassion for them, no matter what they're doing or who they are. You think they're just a child. And if you can feel that compassion and realize that child is part of yourself, then you're able to have some compassion for yourself.
Yeah, that seems like a really key thing of my dream journey is learning to have compassion for myself. Yeah. So let me play a little bit of music here, and we will come right back with Phoebe, and we'll hear some more of those dreams on her journey of the wimp and the bitch, and her relationship to her own need to express anger and things that are uncomfortable. So we will be back in just about a minute or two. And I also want to say in about 20 minutes, I will open the phone so you can call in to 831-900-5773. That's 900-KSQD. And we have one phone line available today. So if you call in and it's busy, just wait until that person is done and call back. We are here with Phoebe Evans. This is the Dream Journal on K-Squid 90.7, and I am your host, Catherine Bell.
What? Don't the sun look angry through the trees? Don't the trees look like crucified thieves? Don't you feel like desperados under the eaves? Heaven help the one.
So we are here with Phoebe Evans, a DreamWork practitioner, certified Projective Dreamworker, and we were talking about your dreams and the evolution. So the first one was the bee in your throat, right? And then the Dick Cheney with the woman locked up. Right. I just want to hesitate for a second and let's talk about the word aha, like in a phrase. I don't know if it's a phrase or a word, but this is something we use a lot in the groups that I attend, which is like, I have an aha. Let's just maybe say a little bit more about what does that mean to have an aha.
It's a term of Jeremy's, and it's that he calls it the felt sense tingle. Which is somewhere, in your brain or in your stomach, or you get this, I know what that means. Yeah, I've got a sense that something just opened up. And it really does change your brain. It makes your brain grow. And dreams, he believed that the aha was a function of memory, that while we're dreaming, we know what the dream means. But when we wake up, and we're in our conscious state, we forget what the dream means. And so if we can open up a little portal, a little pore, and let something through, something comes through, we remember what the dream means, and our brain then has that on the conscious side, and it has opened up a passage, and we've learned something.
Right. I love the way you describe the felt sense tingle. I don't think I've heard that phrase, which is wonderful, because it doesn't mean that we suddenly have this intellectual understanding of, so this means that, or anything like that. But for me, sometimes it feels like something relaxes in my body. It's like something, it's like a hit, and my shoulders kind of relax, and I may not even necessarily know what the hit is, but there's just something shifts, something feels right.
Yeah, it's a felt sense.
Yeah. Okay, great, thank you. So, want to go ahead and tell us the next dream?
Okay. The next dream, I got to work with Jeremy at Marcia Hudson's house at a workshop. This would have been 2015 or something. And it was a complicated dream, and it had Shirley Temple and Bojangles in it. It's funny, I had seen the picture. There's a famous picture of Shirley Temple and Bojangles. They were together in a movie. And I saw it in a book I was leafing through about Shirley Temple. My grandmother was an enormous fan of Shirley Temple, so I thought of her. I was looking at this Shirley Temple book, and there's the picture. And a week later, I'm looking at a book about the history of tap dancing, and there's the same picture. It's Bojangles. He was a famous tap dancer.
Now, this is waking life, right? You see these pictures?
This is waking life. And so then I dreamt about the picture.
Okay.
So there's little Shirley Temple looking really tiny in kind of this dainty little white nightie sort of thing, fragile little white nightie. Remember that fragile white nightie. And Bojangles looking about 7 feet tall, all dressed in black. And then I dreamt about this picture and Bojangles. And in the dream, there's a woman who opens up her mouth, and her mouth is full of bees.
Bees again.
And the bees start to fly out. So this, I was really, really joyous to see this image and know that I had made enormous progress. I also realized after this dream that I had been the angry girl for a lot of years. I had become not quite Dick Cheney, because I was hopefully still an ethical person, but my friends and family had really felt the edge of my tongue. I had really become the angry girl. And I loved the angry girl. I loved being the angry girl, and I didn't want to lose her.
So let me just ask Phoebe, so that was a change that you're saying that when you were younger you would not, you would never speak your anger, but then you kind of learned how to speak it? Is that what you're saying?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I had worked with dreams and with expressing anger to the right person, right amount, blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's important, though. The right person, right amount. That's not just anywhere, to anyone.
When you get good at something, it gets to be more enjoyable, too. And I really kind of enjoyed giving people a tongue lashing sometimes.
The right person in the right circumstance.
Yeah. And so I began to realize, though, with the bees flying out of the mouth, that the angry girl was thinking about evolving into something else and getting ready to leave the stage.
Oh, okay.
And I couldn't imagine what that might be, who I was going to be next. And I really loved the angry girl. I felt great affection for her. So that was a big dream for me.
Right. So with the bees leaving, then, you know, if it were my dream, there'd be a big question. So what's next? It might almost be scary. Like, who am I going to be next if I'm not the angry girl?
Yeah. I didn't want to be a saint. I didn't want to be something phony at all. And it's really hard to imagine, was I going to be an authentic saint? That seems like a reach, you know? But I knew something was coming. I couldn't imagine it yet. But that there was a creative solution, a way to be strong and kind. Not the wimp or the bitch, but someone who was strong and kind. So all that came from this dream, and working with Jeremy, who had such a gift for opening up the group to give you incredible ahas.
Right. And
so the fourth dream in the series, I worked with you in your dream group here just last year. And in the dream, I am wearing a fragile little white nightie, delicate, tiny little garment.
Oh, like the Shirley Temple nightie, perhaps?
Yeah. And over it, I had put a giant black leather jacket, like Marlon Brando wore in The Wild Ones. You know?
Yeah.
Thing with jingling stuff on it, you know.
Tough guy.
This carapace. And I knew that when we worked it, I had been Fragile Nightie Girl, and I had become Black Leather Jacket Girl. And a note on the word girl. I'm afraid we're going to have callers in saying, you should call yourself a woman, don't call yourself a girl. But, you know, I like the word girl. To me, it's a single syllable and the hard G, girl. I'm a girl. It's a good word. I like it. And girls can be powerful, too.
Right.
So, I had been Fragile Nightie Girl. I was now Black Leather Jacket Girl. But a little hint of what was to come, in the outer breast pocket of the black leather jacket, I had a white toothbrush.
Toothbrush.
A toothbrush. And so I had this idea that I could become self-care girl.
Right. Interesting, because you had the throat and the bees coming out, and the toothbrush is also around your mouth.
Right, and teeth are a real symbol of self-empowerment. If you've got bite, if you've got good, strong teeth, you've got power. You're self-empowered. And so this would be a woman who took care of her own teeth.
Right. Oh, you know, can I offer a thought?
Yeah.
I mean, if it were my dream, there'd be something here about the way that I express what I need to express, that I'm keeping it clean. That can be powerful, but clean at the same time.
Right, because anger can be like a drug. It can be addictive, you know, and you find yourself shouting at all kinds of inappropriate things at all kinds of inappropriate people and painful things you regret.
Yeah.
You know, so keep it clean. Keep it, you know, that boyo in the bar who said something sexist, he deserves a tongue lashing. You know, your sweet husband who made a mistake, he doesn't really deserve the same tongue lashing. So, you know, you want to be real clear about how you use your anger.
Yeah, well, because there's something about, but there's something about anger that it's a very uncomfortable emotion for pretty much everybody, as far as I know. I mean, but there's something very useful about it. It's a very natural emotion, and in my experience, it seems to be related to when our boundaries get violated. That's when anger comes out, and so it is very good for us to speak up. And interesting of the transformation into a self-care girl, so that by defending your boundaries, you really are taking care of yourself. Right,
yeah. I think for women particularly, but for men also, because things are changing, and both genders and all genders are trying to figure out what role we're going to create for ourselves that works for us, gender role-wise. And women have been taught to always be sweet and never be angry.
Yeah, yeah.
And yet, if you look inside yourself at all, you know there's this enormous rage in there.
Yep.
What do you do with it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so easy to say, oh, just flush it. But no,
No.
it's easier, so much easier said than
Did
done.
you say flush it?
Flush it.
Flush
yeah.
it like pretend it's not there? So.
Yes, as if you could just flush it out of your pores and have
goodness.
it gone. It doesn't work that way, no.
I'll just sit down and meditate and it'll go away. Like, no, not so much.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I think we need to go through. Yeah.
Right. So there's something about this journey here of really claiming your authentic boundaries. And I love the self-care phrase. Like you get your toothbrush, you got the tough guy jacket, but there's a toothbrush here. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, please.
For men, it's been like the only emotion they're allowed to express.
Right.
And they find themselves perhaps addicted to it and with anger management problems.
Oh, yeah.
And dreams are such a great tool for not only for learning to express anger, but for learning to not have it control your life.
Yeah. No, and I've had clients who have issues with anger, and I personally have had issues with anger as well, but particularly I'm thinking of male clients. And it's interesting, the responses that go through me is like, part of me is like, because I get a little afraid, like, oh, this is like an angry man, and that, and then as I get to know the person and explore their dreams, I see that they've been very, very mean to themselves, and so that's one reason the anger kind of comes out, is because they're usually someone has been mean to them. And they've like learned that that's how relationship is that we're just going to control each other, and then there's a lot of control of themselves going on, and that brings out a huge amount of compassion in me for these people, and it's a challenge and many times, but I always try to hold the thought that people are always doing the best that they can, even if what they're doing is really really hurtful, but I don't have to be there. I don't have to be there to be subject to it. If I can take care of myself and leave the situation, then that's good. And there's something about anger here that is, like I said, a natural human emotion, but it's very fraught because it has to do with relationships between people, and it can lead to violence, which is of course unacceptable.
Right.
But does happen in this world that we live in.
But people that poo-poo dreams or turn away from them because they're scary, I think we have a responsibility there to do our own work, our emotional work. And dreams are such a great tool. Not for everyone, maybe, but don't throw that tool away.
Right. There's something in it, and the lovely thing about the dreams is it's coming from you. It's not like you have to find a guru to tell you how to behave. It's your own dream. It comes from inside of you. And the way that I think of all the different ways that we work with dreams on the show, I talk with people about all the different ways to work with dreams, and the bottom line is, though, that only the dreamer knows. That's a phrase we use in our groups all the time, is that if somebody says something about your dream that doesn't resonate, then let it go. It's not for you. So that's the power of the dream, is that it's bringing us what we're ready for, and maybe they're scary and intense like I've been having lately, but it's from me. It's for me and from me.
Right.
Well, I'd like to take another short break. We're going to play a little piece of music, another Warren Zevon piece, and then we'll come back. And so I'll go ahead and pick up the phone if you would like to talk to me and Phoebe. The number is 831-900-5773, and Max is standing by ready with the phones. And you can give a call, 831-900-5773. 5773. Maybe you'd like to share some of your own dream experiences or ask a question. This is the Dream Journal. My name is Catherine Bell, and you are listening to K-Squid 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org.
Everybody's restless and they got no place to go. Someone's always trying to tell them something they already know. So their anger and resentment flow. But don't it make you wanna rock and roll all night long? Mohammed's radio.
So this is the Dream Journal. My name is Catherine Bell, and we are here live with Phoebe Evans. We have the phone lines are open, so you can give a call, 831-900-5773, if you have something you'd like to share. I would just encourage you to call. And Phoebe, I was wondering if maybe we could talk a little bit about my dreams, like that. We always talk about death in the dream world. And like I said in my check-in, I've had a lot of really intense dreams lately. And, of being trapped in a collapsing nursing home was one. And another one was the death of a loved one. And we always have this phrase of death in the dream world that, death is usually a sign of transformation and all that. But it sure doesn't feel very good when it comes in your dream. I wonder if you have any insights about, like, death in the dream world, what that's all about.
Yeah, it's funny, Jeremy, if you told Jeremy, I had a death dream or a murder dream or a suicide dream or something, he'd rub his hands together and say, oh, good.
Yeah,
oh, good.
Right. I've been known to do that, too. But it happens to you, though.
What? Good? What?
Yeah.
So
what's so good about those kind of dreams?
yeah, what's good about that?
Yeah.
But Jeremy would say death in the dream world is the most important symbol of psychospiritual change and growth and transformation that we know that we have.
Right.
Humans are programmed to pay more attention to bad stuff than to good stuff.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
And then when the dreams want to get our attention, they will throw something that's really bad at us.
Right. Uh-huh.
There's something important there for us to see right now. And death is a really big one.
Yeah,
it really
right.
gets our attention.
Right. Well, I've had dreams where I died in the dream and found that, and
That's really good.
Yeah, and actually I have found that was a very helpful thing. I had I'll just tell the dream that's I had a big crash. I was in a truck crash, and then there was like a shift, and I found myself kind of listlessly taking care of people, and somebody comes up to me and they said, don't you know that you're dead? Remember that crash? You can come with me now. There's no point in staying here anymore. And it was like, oh, thank God. That was like a relief to be able to let go of all this, caretaking and just go with a woman. I didn't know where we went. But lately, there's been more dreams of people I love who've died, and that's a whole different thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Leaving the idea of precognitive dreams aside, because that's for another show. That's a whole big show.
Well, I have to tell you, I did call this person this morning just to be sure.
Yeah. We just have to think about my relationship with them changing, the way I think about them changing, and moving forward, and myself, whatever I project onto them, the person that I think they are, that in myself, that changing.
That's helpful, actually, because there is something that's I think maybe ready to shift in my relationship with this person, and maybe more frequent calls would be a good thing. It's been a while, and so thinking about my relationship and how that is changing. Right, letting go of the old ways and opening up to something new. Yeah. Yeah, that's helpful. It's like like thinking about that. That I had not thought of that this morning. So thank you. That's it's just an example how other people can be so helpful in sharing the dreams, because I know all this dream stuff, and someone else coming to me, I might have said something similar, but it didn't cross my mind that had to do with my relationship, with that person.
I think active imagination is really really helpful in a situation like that too. Dream groups are, I think, the best probably, but for solo dream work, active imagination has given me so many ahas. And I think in a death dream especially, in the character in the other chair could be death itself. Just picture them as, the skeleton in the long black robe with the size if you wanted.
Right.
And to have a conversation with that figment of my imagination, that important part of myself.
So tell me more about active imagination, and how would somebody use this to work with the dream?
To take a character in the dream, or it could be yourself in the dream, the dreamer, or like we were just talking about, an archetype like death, the figure of death, and imagine them sitting in a chair in a room, and you're going to have a conversation with them. And you ask the question, one of the most popular questions to start out with is, why did you come to me in my dream?
And do you write this down, or do you just do it in your imagination, or what do you?
Either one, yeah. And then just open your mind to whatever pops up in your mind, what the character might answer. And I like to write things down myself, but a lot of people don't like to write things down, so you don't have to. But don't reject anything that comes into your head. Like, oh, that's not right. That's not what they want me to, the answer they want me to come up with. It's not a test. It's a conversation. And so I say to Death, why did you come to me in my dream? And Death says, I like lollipops and seagulls. You're like, what the hell?
What?
That's not useful.
Yeah.
But just then try again to a different question, same question, and just see what comes into your mind. Try and relax and let things bubble up, and make it a game too. What would that character in the black robe with the scythe say if I had him in the room and could question him?
Right. And you found this helpful before in like dialoguing with dream characters, and
I really have, yeah.
That's a good suggestion. Yeah. See what I guess that would be a way of accessing our unconscious in a even in the waking state. So trying to just see what comes up, because maybe lollipops and seagulls turns out to be something significant and could trigger some memory or.
Yeah, it's a little bit like being able to continue the dream and get more information about the dream, because lollipops and seagulls obviously are more dream images.
Right. Yeah.
I had a really long conversation with a teenage terrorist who threw a love bomb made of ice cream. And really learned a lot of things about my own relationship with love. We talked for a long time. So sometimes it just kind of flows, and that's, I think, a good thing if you can get it flowing like that.
And maybe just the conversation itself is part of the message of the dream, just to have a relationship with, I love that love bomb teenager. Like, is there a way that I, like, throw the love around or could do it more? Is there something here for me? Yeah, that's wonderful. So I do want to invite call-ins. If anybody is interested in sharing a dream or asking a question, the number is 831-900-5773. We still have time for a call or so if anybody wants to pick up the phone. So Phoebe, maybe we could talk a little bit about your art. That I know you're a jeweler and you make a lot of jewelry, and you're also a painter. And you have a shop in Capitola, which I understand has just started to open as like kind of the curbside kind of mode, which I know is not super satisfying, but it's something.
Yeah.
And it's called what? Phoebe's Art.
Phoebe's Fine Jewelry.
Phoebe's Fine Jewelry. And so tell me about your art. Do you ever draw like dream figures, or do you use it to work with your dreams, or is the art something separate?
A lot. Yeah. Some of my art that's been inspired by dreams has been, customers are a little baffled and sometimes find it off-putting, but it's important for art to be that way.
Yeah, well, yeah. Gotta be provocative.
Yeah. But, like, I had a whole series of tidal wave dreams
Mm-hmm.
and did a whole series of paintings of pictures of waves with things on top of the wave.
Mm.
And so my most popular image, I sell all kinds of cards and mugs and prints and recreated originals of Kitty on the Wave.
Kitty on the Wave.
So there's this cat sleeping in the meatloaf position quite peacefully.
What's the meatloaf position?
On top of a giant wave.
I have to say I'm not much of a cat person. What's the meatloaf position?
Oh, you know when cats curl up with their feet and their tail all completely curled in and they become a loaf?
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Sitting on top of a wave.
Yeah, yeah. So that's been, that image really reaches out to people. They really love that. The idea of calm and cozy and calm, cool, and collected and unflappable on top of a tidal wave.
Seems like that would be a very appropriate image for right now, for the pandemic times. That we have this tidal wave going on, and yet also we're kind of at home in a kind of calm, cozy way. You know, can we be cozy even among in the wave?
Yeah, keeping our cool.
Yeah.
Well, there may be a lot of anxiety underneath.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've been pretty blindsided by this anxiety in myself. It's really just the last 2 weeks or so that it's really started to spike, and I'm super curious what it's all about, and I'm kind of wanting to be over it. It doesn't feel very good. But I'm just, trusting that my dreams are somehow working it out, and I might try some active imagination with some of my dreams and see if I can work through them. I do also have a person I work with, and groups and things like that, which are helpful. Yeah, that there's just something like having compassion for myself and assuming that this will work itself out, and in the way, or whatever way it does. So that's part of my mantra. Kitty on the Wave. I like that. I think I'm going to take that one on. It's a great image.
Yeah, I've done the whole the series of the wimp and the bitch. I did a lot of pictures of two contrasting figures. I like to do a lot of color studies. Color means a lot to me, so I did a lot of red and green, the red figure and the green figure, and blue and gold, the blue figure and the gold figure, and the another combination I like is kind of turquoise and orange, with burnt orange and a beautiful light, sweet turquoise. So that series of dreams was very inspiring, the opposing energies.
Right. Yeah, there's something about that these opposites that often come in dreams. I used to have dreams of battles, like epic wars between armies of black and white, and that's just like, all in white clothing, and the other one was all in black clothing, and they were just having these epic battles, and nobody ever won or lost. But it was quite a theme for me for a long time, the black and the white. And there's something about that I really feel is kind of universal, like the yin-yang symbol. Yeah,
definitely. Of course, the battle between good and evil is something that really seems to move people in pop culture, certainly.
Right.
So, but it runs very deep.
Well, it's archetypal in a way, the good versus evil. I mean, there's a lot of religion, a lot of Christianity is based on duality of heaven and hell, and good and evil, and this. It's a very, very deep in the human psyche, for sure.
I think DreamWork opens us up to transcending that paradox. So finding a creative solution.
Oh, that's beautiful. I actually remember an image I saw once that really struck with me called The Journey, in which this kind of guy in a monk's outfit is walking on a ridge top of a mountain, and on one side are all these temptations and devils, and the other side is all angels and harps and rainbows. And as he walks along, you can see the ridge up ahead of him, and the evil gets less evil and the good gets less good, and it kind of blends together to be all just one journey. So
I had an aha about your dream about the truck.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'd love to hear it.
I happen to know about this dreamer that Catherine was at one time a scientist.
That's true.
And if it were my dream, trucks are often about work, often a symbol of work. And the black and white, in science, there is true and false.
That's true.
There's fact and lies. And so to be a good scientist, one is, at work at least, a black and white thinker. But, of course, then this dreamer changed their occupation.
Yeah.
And so I see the truck crash as the change of occupation, and then now my brain is able to be not such a black and white thinker, to be more of a rainbow thinker.
Right.
But it takes a long time to realize that I've changed my occupation, and now not only my personality but my actual brain, the way my brain works, is changing too. I'm a different person.
Yeah. No, that's very true. That's very true. And it's interesting the part where I'm where I don't realize that I'm dead yet, and I'm just kind of carrying on. It's very gloomy to just be in that space of just carrying on, and the woman, this kind of archetypal figure, or some kind of I don't know, just helper, a guide maybe, just comes and like she follows me around for a while before she can get my attention, and she kind of whispers in my ear, it's like, you're really dead. You don't have to do any of this anymore. It's not important. And what a relief to feel that this is not something that I have to do. Yeah.
Right.
So,
what
Phoebe.
A wonderful dream.
What a beautiful what?
What a wonderful dream.
Yeah. No, that was stayed with me for quite a while. I had that one a few months ago, and I'm still mulling that one over, and I think that's one of the things about those powerful dreams that stay with us. And sometimes it's the dream itself, and sometimes it's working with the dream afterwards that actually gives the significance that helps us remember the dream.
Even for decades, I think that's really wonderful to keep a dream in mind that is even decades old.
Yeah.
There's still things to be learned from it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a treasure.
Right. So, Phoebe, I wonder if it's okay, folks, get in touch with you. Do you have any information you want to share? Maybe the webpage of your shop, or an email, or anything, in case folks want to have questions for you.
Sure. What do you recommend? The email of the shop, the phone number of the shop?
Yeah, either of those would be fine. Yeah, whatever you've. Well, and I don't put either of those on the show page, the show notes. I'll put it in your web page, but I don't feel comfortable putting emails and phone numbers on the web. But you can certainly say it in the audio, and someone would have to really be digging to get to the end of an hour-long show to get your phone number.
But this is public space, basically. I want people to come in the shop, obviously.
Well, good. Well, why don't you maybe even tell people where the shop is, and maybe the phone number, so they can.
And I'm happy to talk about dreams at the shop, because you're looking at jewelry and paintings doesn't mean you can't talk about dreams.
Absolutely. Phoebe has
I actually have a lot of customers who just bring up dreams to me kind of on their own.
Oh, interesting.
I must look like a dream worker in some way. So the shop is 107 Capitola Avenue in Capitola Village. Email address.
It's a little brown. I was going to say it's a little brown building just one street off of the beach, so it's easy to find.
Right by where Capitola Avenue tees into Monterey Avenue,
right.
that T intersection there. Pretty close to there.
Mm-hmm.
And the email address is Phoebe's Fine Jewelry at hotmail.com. There's no apostrophe in Phoebe's.
Mm-hmm.
And Phoebe is with the O first, Phoebe.
Okay.
It's from Greek mythology, so it's tricky. Right. And jewelry only has one L, so in American English.
Right.
So Phoebe's Fine Jewelry at hotmail.com.
Wonderful. Thank you, Phoebe. So do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
I don't know, just to express how beautiful they are, how magical they are, and how useful and practical, what treasures they are in so many ways. If you have a dream that is speaking to you at all, it's such a gift. We're so lucky to have this connection to our unconscious and whatever is in there that's even huger. Is huger a real word? Than,
it is now.
No, more huge than our own personal unconscious, the collective unconscious, the universe, the divine, whatever all those things mean to you. A dream is a connection to something larger. I really believe that.
Thank you, Phoebe. This is Phoebe Evans. It's been a delight.
Thanks, Catherine.
All right. Well, take care, and I will see you at our next dream group.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. So next week, we will speak to fellow dream podcaster Leilani Navar. Leilani is an acupuncturist and a practitioner of traditional Chinese medicine, and also the founder of the Dreamer's Den, an online community of healers, artists, and dream workers. We'll talk about dreams and the 5 elements, and dreams and physical healing. Tune in live or catch the podcast replay. As a second announcement, I am continuing to host a weekly online experiential dreamwork group, free for the month of May, on Mondays from 3 to 5 p.m. PDT, Pacific Daylight Time. Do contact me if you'd like to join us. It's been a really rich group. We talked last week about finding support in your dreams, and we had people calling in from all over the U.S., and we had a couple from Canada. So it's just been a really fun project of mine. Monday afternoons, a dream gathering.
Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries far behind you.
I am Catherine Bell, and this has been the Dream Journal. Thanks for listening. You can find out more about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. I offer private sessions, dream groups, and in-depth retreats. If you have a dream you're curious about, you are welcome to contact me for a free introductory dream consultation. You can also reach me at catherine@ksquid.org. That's KATHERINE@ksqd.org. Let me know if you have suggestions for interviews or questions about a dream, or maybe you just want to say hi. If you like this show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or tell a friend about the show. I'd like to thank my program assistant, Max Deaton, and our creative musician, Rick Cleffel, who created an original composition for our ambient music today. And thank you to all the generous donors who support this station. K-Squid is 100% listener-supported, and donations are always welcome at ksqd.org. That's all for the Dream Journal. Join us again next Saturday at 10 a.m. And when you wake up tomorrow morning, take a minute to look within. Do you remember a dream? Write it down and bring it to the next Dream Journal. Are you ready to wake up to the power of your dreams? I am Catherine Bell, and you are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz.